Robert, the Daily Mail has pages and pages on this story today. Has been at the forefront of leading the breaking news on it. How much damage was this doing to the royal family, and could it indeed have brought the royal family down if the king hadn't acted as fast as he has done?
No, I don't think it was an existential threat to the monarchy. I mean, let's not forget it's been through comparable crises over certainly the last 100 years. But it was a grave problem on two fronts. One, it was just distracting from everything that the king and the working family were trying to do. I mean, the fact that the king goes to meet the Pope, I mean, that's historic stuff when you're Supreme Governor of the Church of England. I mean, that's being sort of pushed into the margins by the latest Andrew shenanigans. So that's one issue. And the other issue is nobody knows where this particular story is going, because I mean it's now nearly 15 years since my sister paper, the Mail on Sunday, really broke all this with that picture that we still see, the picture of Andrew Jouffre, and it was again the Mail on Sunday's exclusive the other day, which really moved this on when they showed that the statement by Prince Andrew back in 2019, when he said he'd severed all links with Jeffrey Epstein, disgraced now dead ex-paedophile, when he said he basically had nothing more to do with him since 2010, and the Mail on Sunday produced an email from 2011 saying, let's play again soon. So clearly that wasn't true. So if that's not true, what else isn't true? And that's, I think, what prompted the king to say, right, we're going to deal with this. And I like most people, I was amazed by the severity of what happened last night. I mean, we had 2 weeks ago, we had that statement saying he's no longer going to use his titles. That was big. People felt that didn't go far enough. Then the issue became all about his house. Well, as of last night, the house is gone. He's not just moving into a smaller cottage on the Windsor estate. He's off the plot. He's out of Windsor. The House of Windsor is kicking him off into Royal Siberia at the other end of the M11 in Norfolk. He's losing all his titles, all his honours. I mean, those knighthoods that he said he wasn't going to use, at least they were sort of nominally there. No, they're not. They're being stripped. I mean, this you've got to go back to, for the loss of a Garter knighthood, you've got to go back to the Second World War, and when Emperor Hirohito of Japan had his Order of the Garter taken away. For the loss of the title of Prince, you've got to go back to the First World War and the Duke of Cumberland. So really, he's being ranked alongside traitors, people who fought against his country, and that is incredibly wounding for someone who fought for his country. So this is big, big punishment.
Huge punishment, massive goings on, and yet... Of course, and sort of nudge, nudge, wink, wink, the palace was saying 2 weeks ago was, well, we can't get rid of these titles. We're going to have a voluntary sort of arrangement. Whereas now it seems like they actually can get rid of these titles. I wonder what that says.
Well, they always could. I mean, it's that old thing. I mean, that we live in a constitutional monarchy. I mean, it's not an autocracy, but the king still retains powers. What we were told 2 weeks ago was that basically he didn't want to start getting Parliament involved in this. I mean, it's a terribly bad look when you're in a time of little for one errant royal. I mean, it just looks bad.
Let's talk about the royal earthquake shaking the British establishment. King Charles has made a monumental decision regarding his disgraced brother, Prince Andrew, and let's just say this one has Buckingham Palace trembling. According to royal biographer Robert Hardman, Andrew has now been ranked alongside historic traitors, a status not seen since the early 20th century. People who literally fought against Britain. That's how severe this punishment is. His titles, honours and styles gone. His residence at Royal Lodge? Gone too. And to add insult to injury, he's been exiled to a private home on the Sandringham estate. A Royal Siberia, as Hardman calls it. This isn't just a royal reshuffle, it's a seismic message, and one that exposes the double standards that have defined the British monarchy's recent history. Because while Andrew's scandals dragged the monarchy through the mud for years, the same establishment was more than happy to smear, vilify and exile Prince Harry and Meghan. two people whose only crime was speaking their truth and standing up for their mental health and dignity. Now, suddenly, the same firm that punished Harry and Meghan for daring to leave is finally forced to deal with a real scandal. And the timing of this couldn't be more revealing. Let's rewind for a moment. When Harry and Meghan stepped back from royal duties in 2020, they were relentlessly attacked by the British press. Headlines called them traitors, deserters, ungrateful, even attention-seeking hypocrites. But look at what's happening now. Prince Andrew, the man whose name became synonymous with controversy, lies and shame, is the one being formally stripped of his royal titles and ranked alongside traitors. Oh, the irony! For years, the tabloids screamed that Harry and Meghan were disrespecting the Queen and bringing the monarchy into disrepute. But the truth was right there, hiding in plain sight. The real damage to the monarchy wasn't from a biracial American duchess who fell in love with a prince. It was from a royal who couldn't stay away from scandal, denial and disgrace. And yet it took King Charles this long to act. According to Robert Hardman, the decision came after the Mail on Sunday published emails from 2011 showing Andrew's close contact with Jeffrey Epstein, even after Andrew claimed he had severed all ties. This revelation directly contradicted Andrew's public statement and proved that once again the palace had been protecting the wrong people. But let's not forget, when it came to Meghan, there were no emails, no crimes, no lawsuits, just baseless gossip, palace leaks and racist undertones that fueled the British media's feeding frenzy. Harry and Meghan were stripped of their HRH titles, forced out of Frogmore Cottage and relentlessly hounded across continents, all for daring to want peace and privacy. Yet Andrew kept his lavish lifestyle and his titles for years, even after public disgrace. Only now, under King Charles's reign, has that era of royal protection ended. It's poetic justice, and it speaks volumes about the kind of monarch Charles wants to be. Let's be honest, this move wasn't just about Andrew, it's also about legacy. King Charles knows his reign will be judged by how he restores integrity to the monarchy. And whether you love him or not, this decision shows strength. It shows a king willing to confront the rot that's been festering for too long. But there's another dimension to this, and it's one the royal media doesn't want to talk about. Because while the British tabloids are calling this a brutal royal punishment, they're completely ignoring how this moment vindicates Prince Harry. For years, Harry has spoken openly about the hypocrisy, the double standards, and the lack of accountability inside the institution. He warned the world that the royal system protects those who damage the monarchy while punishing those who tell the truth. And what are we seeing now? Proof. Absolute proof. Harry wasn't wrong. He was ahead of his time. While the British media called him a traitor, the real traitors were those covering up scandals behind palace walls. While Meghan was accused of destroying royal tradition, others were destroying the monarchy's credibility from the inside. And yet, through all the hate campaigns, through all the cruelty, Harry and Meghan have continued to rise, building a new life in California based on compassion, service, and global impact. Think about it. The same week Andrew's royal downfall made headlines, Harry and Meghan were being celebrated for their humanitarian work through Archewell, for supporting veterans through Invictus, and for championing causes that actually help people. Meanwhile, back in the UK, royal commentators were clutching their pearls because Andrew's name had finally been removed from the official roll of the peerage, something that should have happened years ago. Robert Hardman described the decision as incredibly wounding. And it is. But the real wound was inflicted years ago when the institution refused to deal with the issue head-on. Instead, they spent years scapegoating Harry and Meghan to distract the public from Andrew's mess. Do you remember those tabloid front pages? Every time Andrew's scandal resurfaced, suddenly there'd be a leaked story about Meghan's diva behaviour or Harry's tantrum. Every single time. The smear campaign wasn't accidental, it was strictly conceived as a strategy. They needed a distraction, and Meghan became their favourite target. But karma has a long memory. And now the palace that once threw Meghan under the bus is being forced to answer for its silence on Andrew. Robert Hardman compared the stripping of Andrew's honours to punishments reserved for war traitors. He said, "For the loss of a Garter knighthood, you've got to go back to the Second World War. For the loss of the title of Prince, you've got to go back to the First World War and the Duke of Cumberland." That's how rare this is. That's how devastating this fall from grace has become. It's poetic that Andrew, not Harry, has become the royal outcast of history. And yet the British press won't admit the truth. They'll still try to paint Harry and Meghan as villains because their success threatens the establishment's narrative. But facts don't lie. Harry and Meghan are thriving. Andrew is not. Harry is respected globally. Andrew is disgraced. Harry and Meghan are invited to speak at summits and humanitarian events. Andrew can't even attend a state dinner without controversy. The contrast couldn't be clearer. Now, let's look deeper into King Charles' motivation here. This wasn't just about punishing Andrew. It was about protecting the monarchy's survival. Charles knows public trust is at an all-time low. Scandals, hypocrisy, and outdated hierarchy have eroded the public's faith. So what better way to show that no one is above reproach than by acting decisively against his own brother? And in doing so, he has indirectly vindicated his youngest son. Because by punishing Andrew, Charles is acknowledging, perhaps unconsciously, that Harry was right all along about the need for accountability and transparency. What's fascinating is how the British media is spinning this. GB News and other royal commentators are framing Andrew's punishment as shocking and unprecedented. But they're conveniently ignoring the fact that Harry and Meghan endured similar punishment without committing any crime. They lost their titles, their home, their public funding, their protection, all because they wanted to live authentically and protect their mental health. Andrew lost his because he embarrassed the monarchy on a global scale. So tell me, who really betrayed the institution? At the heart of it, this is a story about transformation. King Charles is redefining what royal accountability looks like. Harry and Meghan are redefining what royal purpose looks like. And Andrew? He's a cautionary tale about what happens when privilege meets denial. The monarchy has entered a new era, one where titles and palaces no longer guarantee respect. Integrity does, compassion does, service does. And that's exactly what Harry and Meghan represent. So, as the dust settles over Sandringham, as Andrew packs up and the tabloids scramble for their next distraction, one thing is clear. The monarchy is finally facing its reckoning. But it's Harry and Meghan who have already built the future. A royal legacy rooted not in scandal, but in strength, empathy, and love. They've proven that you don't need a palace to be royal. You need purpose. And that, my friends, is the real story here. While the palace trembles under the weight of its own secrets, Harry and Meghan stand tall, dignified, free, and unbothered. The tides have turned, and the truth has never been clearer. The House of Windsor may have banished its fallen prince, but the Sussexes, they've built a global kingdom of compassion that no scandal can touch. If you're proud of Harry and Meghan, if you see through the media's lies and support their courage, make sure to subscribe to Royal Sussex Squad right now. King Charles' decision on Andrew titles is big punishment. Robert Hardman says Andrew has been ranked alongside traitors dating back to the First World War, following the decision made by King Charles, a royal expert has told GB News. Speaking to the People's Channel, royal biographer Robert Hardman said the removal of all of Andrew's titles, styles and honours by his brother is incredibly wounding. Andrew ranked alongside historic traitors after incredibly wounding King Charles' decision. The King has removed Andrew from Royal Lodge, moving him to a private residence on the Sandringham estate. Andrew has been ranked alongside traitors dating back to the First World War following the decision made by King Charles, a royal expert has told GB News. Speaking to the People's Channel, royal biographer Robert Hardman said the removal of all of Andrew's titles, styles and honours by his brother is incredibly wounding. King Charles has stripped Andrew Mountbatten Windsor of his Prince and Duke of York titles. The disgraced royal's name no longer appears on the official roll of the peerage, marking a key step in formally removing his titles. Reflecting on Andrew's considerable downfall, Mr. Hardman told GB News, "I don't think it was an existential threat to the monarchy. Let's not forget it's been through comparable crises, certainly over the last 100 years. But it was a very grave problem on two fronts. One, it was just distracting from everything that the king and the working family were trying to do. The fact that the king goes to meet the Pope, that's historic stuff, and that's been sort of pushed into the margins by the latest Andrew shenanigans, so that's one issue." He added, "And the other issue is nobody knows where this particular story is going, because it's now nearly 15 years since my sister paper, The Mail on Sunday, broke all this with that picture of Virginia Giuffre. And it was, again, the Mail on Sunday's exclusive the other day, which really moved this on, when they showed the statement by Andrew back in 2019, when he said he'd severed links with Jeffrey Epstein and had nothing more to do with him since 2010. And the Mail on Sunday produced emails from 2011 saying, "Let's play again soon," so clearly that wasn't true. So if that's not true, what else isn't true? Admitting he was amazed by the severity of the decision on Andrew, the royal biographer explained, "That I think is what prompted the king to say, 'We're going to deal with this.' And I, like most people, was amazed by the severity of what happened last night. 2 weeks ago, we had that statement saying he's no longer getting any of his titles. That was big, and people felt that didn't go far enough. Then the issue became all about his house, and, well, as of last night, the house has gone." Comparing the stripping of Andrew's titles and residence to historic events, Mr. Hardman said the king has ranked his brother alongside traitors. Mr. Hardman explained, "He's not moving into a smaller cottage on the Windsor estate. He's off the plot. He's out of Windsor. The House of Windsor is kicking him off into Royal Siberia at the other end of the M11 in Norfolk, and he's losing all his titles, all his honours. Those knighthoods, at least they were sort of nominally there, but they're being stripped." He concluded, "For the loss of a Garter knighthood, you've got to go back to the Second World War. And when Emperor Hirohito of Japan had his Order of the Garter taken away for the loss of the title of prince, you've got to go back to the First World War and the Duke of Cumberland. So really, he's being ranked alongside traitors, people who fought against his country. And that is incredibly wounding for someone who fought for his country. So this is big, big punishment." Hit that like button, share this video with fellow supporters, and don't forget to show love through super thanks to keep this platform thriving. Together, we'll keep speaking truth to power, exposing hypocrisy and celebrating the Duke and Duchess of Sussex, the real heartbeat of modern royalty.